Remember the bully who ruled the schoolyard? The big ginger kid, so fierce and so hard. The authority born of intimidation and threat. The scourge of the playground whose gaze no one met. Remember that day and that kid from year 10? The small one that nobody saw until then. The one who refused to hand over the ball, who the bully beat up on and we all watched fall. Remember him rising, still holding that ball, just stood there defiant, so short and yet tall. The power of the bully just melted away, like the darkness of night, washed clear by the day. As a maiden born among the Andesite hills to the west, I journeyed and grew from a freshwater trickle to a salty flood. During my time running between these shores, I have borne witness to the events that have fashioned this town, including many injustices. I remember the wickedness of the press gangs, the shameful neglect of the poor that clung to the banksides like limpets, and the ragged mariners kept from family for want of a ship to carry them home. Few of these, however, can compare with the stranglehold around the neck of North Shields by the hands of those in high office in Newcastle. A grip that was maintained over many centuries until finally loosened, in part, by a heroic young man from Churton. Will I tell you the whole story? Well, of course. But let me do so in a way to spare the shame of those responsible for this wrong. I'll relay my tale through the eyes of the two birds connected to the city and the town. The Magpie and the Robin. The avarice of the magpie is legend, of course. On this particular day, one of the mischief was bullying a cat, when its black obsidian eye caught the sparkle of something that had been washed ashore. He didn't know what it was, but knew that anything that came from the underworld had to have magical power. He decided there and then that he wanted it. All of it. The shiny rock the bird so coveted was, of course, coal. It lay in ancient seams just below the surface, all around the area. A material as precious back then as the rare earth minerals that the bald eagle so desires today. To ensure that no other bird could look upon his treasure, let alone own any of it, the magpie enlisted the help of his family, a toon army of crows, rooks and ravens. Then he went and spoke to the most ferocious of the raptors, the peregrine falcon, to enlist his help in the venture. To get him on side, he promised him as much prey as he could devour. We scavengers have a right, through strength and cunning, to rule the lesser birds, he declared to his dark-hooded accomplice. The magpie soon had total control of the river, ensuring that all birds knew the consequence of refusing to keep away from the area. However, for whatever reason, a lone robin soon appeared along the bankside in defiance of the ban. The magpie decided to teach the young robin a lesson. He followed him back to his territory above the river. There, the robin flew to a nest in a beech tree behind an old cottage, where his mate was nestling a brood of 4 chicks. The magpie returned the next day with a murder of crows and the peregrine falcon. He had decided to kill the robin family and set an example for any of the birds who dared to defy him. Just as the group was about to swoop down upon the unsuspecting robins, they heard a ha 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 cry from above, which grew in intensity as the seconds passed. The magpie paid the sound no attention, but the peregrine looked up and immediately dug its head deep into its neck. The magpie noticed this and asked, "Surely the Lord of the Skies is not frightened of a few seabirds?" The peregrine replied, saying, "I keep forgetting you're a country bird, magpie. Let me put you right on something, my friend. Those are not just any seabird. They're herring gulls. See the red patch on the end of their beak? That's not a marking, but a permanent blood stain. I'll take on any feathercoat in the sky, but what I won't do is mix it with them." "Why?" asked the magpie. "Why? Because they're crazed, that's why. They have no fear of anything, including humans. They're laughing at the moment, but you better get out of here before that changes to a yow." With that, the peregrine flew off, followed by the magpie army a little later. The magpie enforced his will over all bird life through future generations of his kind, and, as a consequence, the robin's voice was lost to the river for the next 400 years. The original magpie had also long since left the sky, his chuck-chuck-chuck tongue gone back to the earth. But his offspring knew the worth of the buried treasure and formed new alliances to keep control of the River Tyne. Then, one morning many years later, an orange flash appeared from the direction of Churton village. It paused before settling on a dampened wreck, set fast in its muddied berth. A robin. The squat stranger announced his appearance in the early mist, in a repeated dry tick-tick-tick. This robin was called Wolf, an early Viking version of the name Ralph. The magpie caught his call as it echoed off the river, and immediately flew to investigate. When he came upon the robin, he challenged him. "Who dares to trespass on my river?" he demanded. "Your river," the stranger replied. "Show me which part of the river you own," he asked. "There," said the magpie, pointing with his black bill. "But that water you've pointed to is already heading towards the sea, and will soon be gone forever. You can no more own that than you can the wind or the stars." The magpie said no more, but his heart hardened towards the stranger. As he flew off, he already began to plot how to rid himself of this upstart. The magpie hatched a plan to imprison the robin. He set his gang of ravens, rooks and crows about the task, gathering twigs from a nearby blackthorn bush, bristling with sharp sword-like spikes. They fashioned these into a cage and forced the robin inside. The robin sought a way out, but the thorns tore at him, and his blood was lost against his breast. He determined that, should he escape, he would somehow find a way to loosen the magpie's grip on the river. Within a few days, the blackthorn twigs began to dry out and twist, opening up gaps in the cage walls, eventually allowing the robin to wriggle his way to freedom. A month later, the robin flew south to seek justice from the king of the birds, the mighty white-tailed eagle. On arrival at his destination, he was directed to a tall spruce, the lower section of which was occupied by a parliament of owls. These informed him that the great lord of the waters would be back soon. Moments later, a huge shadow was cast over the robin by the returning bird. In his powerful bright yellow talons, he gripped a struggling fish. "What is it you seek from me?" he inquired of the robin. The robin explained the reason for his audience with the eagle. The other bird listened, turning his head occasionally, his golden eyes searching the owls for any signs of assent or disapproval. When the robin's grievances had been heard, the eagle bid him return home. He told the small bird he would discuss the case with his parliament and sent him news of his decision. However, that decision never came. Early the next morning, the eagle was trapped and killed by a gamekeeper. And so, the magpie continued to maintain his control over the River Tyne for a further 2 centuries. And what became of Wolf the robin? It was said that he never came to terms with the failure to break the magpie's hold, and not long after his return from meeting the sea eagle, his lack of response convinced him to leave his Churton home for good. He was never heard from again. But his legend lives on, and it is said that one day, should he be needed, he will come back to the town he tried to save. Perhaps this, the completion of 800 years, will see him return.